Welcome back to the 1% Insight. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Gemma Kerley, Group Marketing Manager at McKeon Group, Hereworks, Hereworks Solve, and Hereworks Happy. Hereworks is making your building or campus more efficient, user-friendly, and a happier place to work. Founded in 2007 as McKeon Group's technology division, Hereworks delivers smart building and AV solutions that enhance how people interact with the spaces around them. Welcome to the podcast, Gemma.
Thanks very much, Jack, and thanks for inviting me to be on it. I've had the opportunity to listen to a few of your podcasts, and they sound very interesting. And you've had some really good people on and given some great tips. I'm happy to share any knowledge that I have that might help others to do better in marketing as well. It's a really fast paced sector to be in and a job to be in. And digital things are making it even faster, especially with AI coming on board. We've had to take a lot on board in the last little while, change tack. And I'm happy to help your listeners out and hopefully give them some good tips.
100%. We're really looking forward to it, Gemma. So if we kind of go back to the start, I guess, Gemma, in terms of how you got into marketing, B2B marketing, and kind of those early roles that kind of shaped your career.
I did a BBS in marketing like many other marketing people, but I done mine in marketing and e-business. So from the get-go, I actually was concentrating on the digital aspect. I had a real keen interest in website design and all of that. Back when I was in college, Jack, you believe it or not, this was new. Social media was new, LinkedIn was new, Facebook was new. So when I came out of college, where I was seen to be taken on into new roles was to actually bring that new knowledge in. And because the marketing people who were, say, there in place were traditional marketers, in the essence of your brochures and your post, your snail mail, all of that stuff, because all this digital world was only coming on board. My first job in marketing was actually for WIT. A long, long time ago. We won't say how long. And I was their marketing assistant, brought on to look after updating their website and their open days and start emailing email campaigns and things like that. Then I went off traveling like many do when they graduate from college and came back to a terrible recession. I found it hard to get back into the marketing sphere, but eventually I did, and I landed a role in a B2B kind of construction type company. It was facility sales and services. That's where my B2B marketing really started to take shape. So, of course, back then it was all around your email marketing campaigns, not so much the social. The social was starting to be built upon. Your Google ad campaigns, your brochures were still very strong. They were still relying quite heavily on some traditional methods like an actual physical brochure rather than a digital one, which is where I started to kind of make the change over to digital and kept going in the digital direction. The next big step for me was into Instant Upright. It was a manufacturer of scaffolding, another construction adjacent company, again B2B. There, I took on managing basically their whole e-commerce website, and that was taking it from like very little revenue to doubling that year on year for 6 years. Now I've moved into McKeon Group. I've been with McKeon Group for 3 years and I'm their group marketing manager. And McKeon Group consists of two companies. That's McKeon Group, the construction side of the business, and then there's Hereworks, which is the technology division, set up in 2017 to provide audio visual equipment. And then it's grown exponentially into a smart building provider as a digital building contractor. And we also have our own software as a service products that support smart buildings. Which is Hereworks Happy and Hereworks Solve.
I guess a lot of the audience would be B2B technology marketers, go-to-market teams, Gemma. I think from your
Mm.
perspective, actually having to manage people, different brands, different brand identities, different target audiences, I guess, within those different subsections. How have you managed that, I guess, over the last few years in your role at McKeown Group and Hereworks? How has that been a challenge, especially on the kind of the the software side. How has that been a challenge in terms of managing a lot of different identities within the brands?
Yeah, it's been quite challenging. I've had to set out some really clear guidelines, brand guidelines for ourselves for the different brands and entities so that we're sure of how we want to sound and what we want to say. And, we've had to make sure that we don't have any miscommunication across those brands. And Hereworks itself as a company has a very different brand to, say, McKeon Group, the construction company. In terms of managing it, I've had to use a lot of software as well to help us and make sure that we're using the right brand kit, the right brand identity when we're speaking, when we're writing, when we're creating content.
And especially, I think would be really interesting to kind of delve into the HereWorks solution. So you kind of mentioned there, Gemma, HereWorks Happy and HereWorks Solve. How do those, I guess, kind of complement each other? Because the smart building space is obviously something that is a massive market right now. I've only been exposed to it the last couple of years, but it's amazing what's actually happening within
Mm.
building spaces and how people are using them either in a workspace capacity.
Yeah, so really the great thing about them, they are innovations of ours that we created to actually support the smart building delivery. So your smart building can't be smart without all the systems being connected. But if the systems are all connected and you're not able to see or hear or get any insight from those systems or analyze the data, then there's absolutely no point in doing it in the first place, because that's where HereWorks Happy came in. It's a software that it connects into the systems once they're all connected, and it can start telling and feeding back out the insights and information, the valuable information that you need from the smart building in order for you to actually realize the benefits of having a smart building. Those being like your sustainability goals, to achieve them, how to achieve them, where you could make cost savings, how you can improve the workplace, how you can improve the human experience in the building. And the human experience is where Solve comes into play, because we developed HereWorks Happy, but then realized, well, there's no human input here. There's a really smart building. It has HereWorks Happy in the back end, and we're getting all the lovely insights from the building data and all of that, but there's no human involvement, and you can't do anything right in life without the human experience in the back of it. And so that's when HereWorks Solve was developed, and that's giving the humans within the building the ability to input information into the system, into HereWorks Happy, and be part of the process so that we're getting that, that qualitative data from people within the building and getting user feedback as to what's working and what's not working and why they might be unhappy. And it's really important for workplace experience now, in terms of keep retention of employees, and to also make sure that the building is working for the human and not the other way around.
How has, I guess, COVID, which seems like a long time ago now, affected, but obviously the return to office movement as well, that more companies, especially the larger corporations, are asking the employees to come back in, where there's a kind of once it was very much all remote when it had to be. Now it's kind of, 2 or 3 days a week. And then there's some companies saying you got to come in 5 days a week, more so in the States, I think, in terms of the way they're kind of going about it. We're a bit more level here in Ireland, but has that benefited you in some ways in terms of the hybrid workplace where you can kind of manage, if it's employees, if you get me there, in terms of companies utilizing the software for their own workspaces?
Yeah, look, I think it's been a big driver in workplace experience, and the focus of facility managers and businesses and CEOs and HR, it's focused them on the human experience within the building, because you need to make it worthwhile for people to come into the office now. Everyone's much happier to work from at home. They're saving time. They're not having to drive into work. They're probably saving an hour or two a day in a commute. They can set the heating to whatever they like. They can have their favorite coffee. These all, it's after helping us in terms of a business that it's focused businesses on needing to improve the human experience in the building to in order to actually get people to come into the office. So how would a company know this from a smart building? They wouldn't. From a normal smart building with an integrated system, they just wouldn't know that people are unhappy with the coffee machine or they're unhappy with the heat. Like we can tell systems like HVACs to, oh, turn on the HVAC. This can all be automated in the back end of a smart building, turn on the HVAC if it hits 22 degrees, turn on the heat and if it hits 18 degrees. And, it can be to whatever guide you give it. But if you don't know that that's suiting the human in the building, how are you going to fix the problem? Whereas Solve allows people to instantly, in 3 seconds, anybody within the building can report a problem or report an issue that they have within the building by just like tapping their phone on a card, an NFC card, and they like within seconds can say, it's too hot in this room, it's too cold in this room, it's the coffee machine is broken. And you know, one of the biggest things we found in one of the first rollouts was they kept running out of toilet roll in a bathroom. So yeah, it can be simple things and the link between the systems and the people. Like we found that there we were getting notifications and warnings from the system in one place saying that we were using a lot of water, but we couldn't tell where we were using too much water. Luckily enough, this client had the Solve installed as well. So a person went into a bathroom and noticed that the cistern was constantly running, and they done the tap, they tapped their phone and they reported it. And so instantly the facility manager knew where he was losing water and he was able to go directly to the location because Solve is location aware and tells them exactly where that problem has been reported from without the person having to actually tell them. Because another thing that we found during our research was there's loads of CAF FM systems out there, but they're overly complicated. So when you try to report a problem, you need to say it's on, floor 3 and it's here and it's in this direct building or this direct location. Whereas these tags are all aware where they are and they tell the FM straight away, this is exactly where you're losing water. So he was able to go and shut that valve off straight away.
And it's solving a big problem, especially for companies that are trying to get people to come back. Like you mentioned there, I think the hybrid works well for a lot of people. I think people like to have the choice where they can have the kind of autonomy over choosing. I get to work remotely when it works well for me and I feel more efficient. And then I also get to go to an office that I enjoy going to because of all these small things that are being taken care of or managed actively through software like your own at Herework. It's a huge problem, I think,
Yeah.
because there's a big resistance, maybe from especially younger age groups as well. I've noticed people coming out of college and stuff where they want only remote work. But even myself personally, I think that the effects of remote work wear off after about like 3 or 4 years, I found. And then you're like, okay, maybe I should go to an office type scenario or co-working space and just try it out and see what the crack is there.
Mm.
And usually what you'll find is that you need to balance the both. Too much of one thing isn't good for anyone. So I think trying to solve that problem for companies to
Yeah.
make workspaces enjoyable and good place to come to work. Touching on the marketing piece, Gemma, would it be large organizations who own company buildings that you'd be kind of managing the software for? And the question regarding that is, we know in B2B that there's buying committees, I guess, that you need to engage with multiple different people that will probably review the software or the technology before saying, we're going to opt with Hereworks as our solution. How have you found that challenge in maybe speaking to your own target audience, ICP, and those kind of buying committees and trying to position your software as the go-to solution?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. That's something that's really come into the forefront of my mind at the moment is ideal customer profiles and how we can build them better and how we can use them to personalize our message even more so than, hijack on an email. And also how they're thinking, how we can use AI, in terms of answer engine optimization, because really are aware that clicks are going down on your website because of answer engine optimization, because usually people are getting their answers from AI now rather than actually clicking through to the website and getting the answer from the website. AI is pulling the information from these websites and just giving it to people. So when people get to your website, they're much further down the buying journey. They've already gotten all the information, they know all the answers to their questions. They're actually at a point where they want a quote now, and they're going to mark you on certain things, whether that be the quality of your work, sustainability of your business, the message you're putting out, how you focus on them as a company. And like you said, in our kind of business, we're looking at there could be up to 10 to 20 decision makers. Could be a mix of consultants, our business owners, our CEOs and CFOs, and IT managers, because we have to cover a lot in the smart building industry in terms of security. When you're connecting all these systems up together, you need to make sure that they're all secure and nobody can tap into it. From a marketing point of view, it has to be a really good, strong message, in my opinion. And it also has to be very personalized and resonate with your ideal customer profile. It's really important now that you're answering their questions rather than, just search engine optimization on your website. They're not looking for keywords anymore. They're asking Google full on questions, as in, how does a smart building work? Or how would a smart building benefit our company? Or how could you realize the benefits of a smart building after? Because really, you don't see any returns from a smart building straight away on day one. You see the returns a year later, and then another year later, and another year later. That's where you see all your savings and your sustainability and everything that you can do. And, if you're improving that workplace experience, if your retention rates are going up on your employees, if people are happier within the building, we would suggest that the company does pulse surveys to make sure that, you know, the people within the company are happy with the building, and see, is there other ways can we improve things. This is one of the main things about ourselves, in terms of we've moved from, we're not only an MSI where we connect all these systems up, we've now moved into a digital building contractor, because we need to be there at the start, and we need to be very early in the project in terms of work, and actually with the main contractor, who say maybe whoever is maybe building the actual building, as in the physical building. We need to digitally build the building at the same time, so that it's completely suited to the user's needs, and it's looking at everything in a holistic way. And then we can't leave that client as soon as the building is built, like a main contractor. We have to stay with them, and we have to show them the value and the benefits afterwards. And that can only be done by making sure that you're looking at the data, you're analyzing it, you're making iterative changes to, improve the building.
Yeah, and you made a great point there in terms of just the changing landscape of even the marketing in terms of content creation. Like we're seeing it obviously now with people engaging. I imagine it's probably the same with you. A lot more of your target audience group are engaging in kind of LLM research, where they're going to ChatGPT or Perplexity and they're putting in research questions. We've seen a lot now as well. Like a
Mm,
lot of the B2B buyers are engaging in self-directed online research for large parts of the early stages of that kind of awareness, even go into consideration phase of their B2B buying journey,
yeah.
and only coming to you once they've nearly decided their 3 or 4 potential vendors. So it's just showing how important it is
Yeah.
to get in front of that target audience group early on and build that kind of rapport and trust with them. What tactics, without giving away the playbook or
Mm.
anything like that, in your own personal opinion, what you see is effective, I guess, go-to-market content strategy for these B2B SaaS companies in 2025 and looking into 2026?
So, like that, firstly, I suppose answering their questions is the most important so that you're on the LLMs, you're actually part of the conversation. And then and that comes from just putting really good quality data out, whether that's blogs, white papers, like you're doing yourself, your podcast, your videos, but also just being part of the conversation. We always go on the thought leadership end of things as well. We like to be ahead of the curve. We like to make sure that we're thinking about what you need in the future before you're even thinking about it. So we're always looking to the future and making sure that we're seen as thought leaders and that we are thought leaders and that we're constantly innovating and making sure that we are doing the best for our clients and listening as well to the questions that are being asked. You can ask AI, what questions are people asking? They'll tell you exactly what people are asking. You can make sure you're answering those questions. Then another, I suppose, important part of it is to make sure that what you are putting out, you're seen as a thought leader and you're showing that you know what you're talking about. That is the most important thing. And you're putting across the message in a way that resonates with the people that you're talking to. So again, bringing back in your ideal customer profile and making sure that you're speaking to them in a way that they understand and you're not going above their head because let's face it, technology can be very complicated. What we do as a company is a very complicated product in the back end. Like we have loads of developers and working in the background and the language they use is completely different to the language we use on a day-to-day basis, or what our customers language would be completely different, so you have to make all this complex information understandable.
And have you found any particular platforms working well as opposed to kind of the market of B2B SaaS from kind of content you're consuming or enjoying? Have you seen specific platforms, perhaps social, working well in terms of communicating that message and engaging with a B2B technology audience?
Yeah, look, events seem to be a big thing with ourselves. You have to be seen to be at events, you have to be speaking at them, you have to be doing round tables, you have to be having your stand there for a lot of people attend these events who are in probably past the awareness stage. They're trying to really knock down and make sure that they're getting the right knowledge. They've gone past awareness. They're into almost the buying decision. And you really need to be in front of them there. For me, I think it's the most important nearly aspect of B2B marketing is events and just connecting with people. Some things never change. People buy from people.
That's a fantastic point. And I think they've actually made a huge comeback as well. Obviously, they were restricted for, 3 or 4 years in terms of what was going on during COVID and all that. But now, like I was even at one last night and everyone's same technology audience, software audience. They either have their own companies or work for software companies. And everybody's just saying the same thing, that events are massively important for them, that they've been kind of craving them for so long, and now they're here to get real value from it, even if it's just connecting with people who might be a complementary service provider, could be a potential new client. And
Mm.
it works much better than, if we're trying to send loads of LinkedIn messages or emails, and, people can do that with ease now. I think the easy stuff probably won't get you fantastic results. It's the stuff that's a bit harder in terms of making things personalized in your content, in your outbound, if you are doing outbound, making it really personalized. We're seeing a lot of direct mail stuff coming back in where people are sending
Yeah,
letters or gift boxes and making it really personalized. And then to your point on events as well,
yeah,
it's difficult to set up the event. There's a whole art and round of marketing of an event in terms of the pre-event, during the event, and the post-event, and how you kind of maximize your time there, and how you set it up, and all that. in terms of your events calendar, then has there been a particular way of, I guess, identifying key events in your industry that have worked well?
But there's some big hitters, like the big events that kind of nearly everybody attends. It's funny that you say that. This year we're reconsidering our events for next year, because we started doing some more niche events. They're a bit smaller, but they're very targeted, and it's more about who we're targeting rather than what we're selling, if you get me. So again, we're going very personalized. We've decided that, a particular sector are the people who are actually, they're looking at smart buildings. They're the ones building new buildings. They're the ones that are, retrofitting existing buildings and making those buildings smart. And they're the type of people that we want to be talking to and to be seen by. And we're finding that we're getting much better leads, and much not, you don't get as many leads, but you get much better leads from these niche events. And even though it does take up more time, because they're smaller niche events, they're probably not as costly as the bigger events. Yeah, the big events are great. Loads of people go to them. If you're a speaker on stage, you get to tell lots of people about your product and service. But at the same time, you don't have that personal one to one. If they're too big, you don't get to talk to everybody and you don't get to talk to them properly. These niche events or round tables, we're finding, are really brilliant ways of communicating with our customers and learning from them as well at the same time. It's kind of like a bit of research at the same time into their thoughts, getting their opinions on what needs to be done and how they see smart buildings going forward, and what are they seeing as benefits. Our clients might see benefits that we haven't seen yet, and they can actually tell us, well, actually, I noticed this, this, and this. And when I put it all together, I was able to make a substantial saving, or I was able to make a change that everybody now loves in the office.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to be said for the in-person events, and I think they have, and are increasingly becoming more popular as well. They were always kind of, a fantastic way for B2B marketing for many years. But I think there's,
Mm,
the newer, like the AI, let's say, companies coming in now, and they're kind of fresh, and they're these new startups, etc. And I think they're actually seeing the value in them as well. Like I think there's Web Summit next week now in Lisbon. There was Dublin Tech
yeah.
Summit earlier this year. There's fantastic ones in Ireland that
Mm,
people can go to, and obviously travel to the UK and the States as well, and Europe for the larger conferences. But there's great value there if you can get your software company or technology company to these events to meet customers. And like you said, it's kind of like market research. You can constantly be refining your messaging, or you'll find new pieces that might shape the product from just one conversation, and that's worth the conference admission fee, or the stand fee alone, is getting that one key piece of insight that you wouldn't get necessarily by just kind of sitting by yourself. You're just siloed from the market essentially.
You know yourself, we were at the Smart Building Show only a short while ago. It's a great show. It's over in the UK. It's very much about smart buildings. But it's one of the bigger shows as well. PropTech Connect as well. And we're looking at doing a work tech event now in 2 weeks' time over in London. I suppose as well, these niche events, like these work tech events, they're niche events. And we've done one earlier in the year and found that it was really good. So we then did another, because we're looking to expand now into the US. So we just did another one over in New York. So we're planning on hitting another one now in the UK in 2 weeks' time. There's a lot to be said for these events, but of course, you have to back all these up with your digital, and you have to do all your pre-event and showcasing that you're going to be there, inviting your clients, all through LinkedIn and email. And then we also have to look at the post event, and that's like following up with all the people you met at the show. It's very important that you have that follow up, that you don't meet somebody and then just completely forget about them and expect them to come back to you. There's a lot of work involved in these events, but they're worthwhile.
No, it's a great insight for the B2B tech marketers listen today, if they aren't trying events, get out there, find them that are in your industry, and just start attending, getting your name out there. It's well worth it. I have a kind of a rapid fire round questions that we ask guests, and the first one would
Yeah.
be, what is the best book for B2B technology marketers to be reading?
I use LinkedIn a lot to keep up to date with all the new things that are coming out. And there's a few marketing industry pages that I follow, and they're brilliant for giving you tips and tricks and stuff that's coming out. I am finding HubSpot is great as well for knowledge sharing. And if you don't have it as your CRM, you can actually go on to their website and get so much information out of them. They're really ahead of the curve as well. You know, they're all on top of this AEO and ideal customer profiles and how to market yourselves better.
That's fantastic. It's very true as well, because there's very few books that will hold the principles. Like founding principles are obviously fantastic, but things move so fast. And actually, it's funny because I think a couple of people have actually said HubSpot to that question as well on this podcast. So they're doing something right with
Look
their
at
content marketing. For question for you, Gemma, is a company, not your own, that is doing fantastic, maybe tech marketing.
Oh, smart spaces is always one that I would admire. They'd be like a partner of ours. You know, we would use, as I said, we're agnostic. So as a smart building provider, we don't shove Hereworks Happy or Hereworks Solved down our clients' necks if that's not the right fit for them. And smart spaces are actually, they have a really good one as well, and they do really good marketing. I love it.
Brilliant. And the last one in the rapid fire round is, if you weren't in marketing, what would you be doing?
You know, I would have said a few years ago, I definitely would have said that I'd be like finance, because I always had a keen interest in finance. I dipped my toe into finance for a while, but I found it a little bit too boring for myself. I do love numbers, I do love the analytics, and that suits me for the marketing end. But I think I'd probably have to change my answer nowadays to sales, believe it or not. It's sales and marketing, they're just intertwined, aren't they? And I've done a lot of sales during my career I've been sales and marketing manager and sales and marketing executive in many of my roles. And sometimes I miss the thrill of closing a deal. So I'd say sales, if not marketing.
And the last question I have for you, Gemma, is if you could share your 1% insight with our listeners today regarding maybe the landscape of B2B technology, B2B SaaS marketing, what would it be?
Really, it has to be get on board with answer engine optimization and your ideal customer profiles and start using AI. I know sometimes it's seen as a bad word now at this stage because people are like so probably fed up of hearing the word AI and use AI. And also, in saying that, I'd like to make sure that everyone realizes that AI is a support tool for us as marketing people. It's not going to replace us in any way, shape, or form. I'm using it on a daily basis. I love it. It's brilliant. It's helping me do my job more efficiently, but it would never replace me, and it's not going to be able to replace me anytime soon. You need to review that work as well. Like if you're building blogs or doing posts, I know it's great for starting you off with your blank page, you know, just to get you going. But you have to rewrite it, because if you don't rewrite it, everyone's going to know it came out of AI.
Definitely. No, thank you very much for sharing your 1% insights with our audience today, Gemma. It was fantastic. Where can they connect with yourself and learn more about McKeon Group and Hereworks?
Yeah, well, if you want to connect with myself, I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you want to learn more about Hereworks, if you just go to hereworks.io, you'll see us all there, and it'll connect you up to Happy and Solve as well, if that's what you're interested in. Also, if you go to mckeon.ie, that's MCKEON, because people get mixed up with that one. mckeon.ie is our construction company, if you want to learn more about those.
Thank you, Gemma.
Thanks.